The Axe of the Blood God.
Welcome to another episode of Axe of the Blood God, US Gamer's official RPG podcast. I'm your host, Kat Bailey. With me, as always, my lovely co-host, Nadia Oxford.
Hello, hello.
And as always, we talk about RPGs, big and small, Western, Eastern, PC, console, doesn't matter. We love them very, very much. And this week on Axe of the Blood God presents, we got a bunch of news. We got a whole bunch of announcements that we are going to talk about. We're going to talk about the Final Fantasy 15 multiplayer, which we just got finished playing on the US Gamer Lunch Hour, which was a lot of fun. And of course, we're going to do comments from previous episodes where we hear what you guys have to say.
We hear your voices.
We hear your voices. We love you. The Blood God loves all of you. But before we get started with that, a little bit of housekeeping. You may have noticed that another podcast appeared on the Blood God feed. That is the US Gamer Podcast, which is our newly launched podcast. It's our flagship podcast. Cat. I'm talking about myself in the third person now.
Like Elmo.
Both Nadia and myself appeared in that episode, and we had lots of things to say. Let's see, we were talking about the Super NES Classic. We got into an argument about Mega Man.
Oh, that's right. I slept that off. I forgot about it.
We were like, it was to the point where we were like almost feuding. I mean,
God forbid.
The Axe of the Blood God in doubt. My God, but we're okay now.
Yes.
We're still friends. But
we patched it up.
Yeah, we were arguing about whether not Mega Man is still relevant in America. Spoiler alert, it's not.
Spoiler alert, it is.
Fortnite, Splatoon 2. I got to have a little bit of a Cat Bailey Sports Minute, talk about NHL 18 beta. And of course, we did a major topic, which was, with Destiny 2 and Splatoon 2 getting some flack, we were kind of wondering, like, what do we want in a sequel? Like, what do you have? What does a sequel have to bring to the table for people not to be like, oh man, this sequel is way too similar to the last time, man. So we talked a little bit about that. Speaking of Destiny 2, if you go over to the site, Katie went and talked to some disaffected Destiny fans who are like, I am not going to go on to Destiny 2. I'm annoyed by the fact that this 10-year plan is not carrying over. I played like 300 hours of this game. I got lots of stuff. This is annoying. And people are coming into the comments and going, filthy casual.
Yeah, people are really passionate about Destiny, it turns out.
Yeah, I played 3,000 hours. And I'm just like, oh my God, congratulations on not having a life.
How many hours are in a year? I can't even remember. Oh, wait, 525,600 minutes. Oh, that's, that's minutes.
Did you know that? Did you just know that off the top of your head?
No, I was just quoting Rent. 525,600 minutes. You don't remember that song?
I've never seen Rent.
You're not missing much. Songs are
I've heard that it's about AIDS.
Yeah, there's a lot of AIDS.
Yeah. But Destiny 2 is a thing that exists and people are going to play it regardless. But yeah, it does remind me of when World of Warcraft was a thing. Like, people who are like really hardcore about that game have like looked back on their profile and said, yes, the time I've spent on this game is being counted in years.
Wow. Beautiful.
Yes, like they're going, yes, this game tells me that I have spent literally 1 year of my life essentially continuously playing World of Warcraft.
Wow, and I remember looking at Persona 5 and Breath of the Wild and seeing 100 hours and thinking to myself, oh my goodness, I am so hardcore. I am nothing, apparently.
Yeah, I put like 300 hours into Star Trek Online.
Nice, that's pretty good.
I maxed out the clock in Pokemon.
Where does it stop? 99 hours?
I think Pokemon Coliseum might have stopped at 99 or 999 hours. There's a slight difference, but I definitely maxed out the hours on that one.
Good job.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. I definitely put a lot of hours into that game. And I do not even want to know how many hours total I've put into Madden because it's probably sickening. But, okay, so moving on to RPG news. First piece of business. Dragon Quest XI has officially been announced for America.
Yay!
That's great.
That's great.
Yeah, like they're not going to keep us waiting like they did with Dragon Quest VII, keeping us in suspense. How do you feel about this, Nadia?
I'm happy, of course, and I really love how they actually.
I thought you'd be disappointed. It's just.
I'm so bummed that Dragon Quest XI is getting localization. Oh my god, I love how they did like a video, like where they kind of show like they're packing up the slimes in the background and like kind of moving over to. I guess they put it in a suitcase and to indicate that they're moving to America. That's really cute.
The thing that I was confused about is the 3DS version actually coming out here.
I got the impression that both are coming. I mean, I don't know. When they say Dragon Quest XI, it just kind of seems to encompass the PS4 and the 3DS. I'm hoping it's both. I want to play both. I will play both. I will even play the Switch version.
They're very different things, right? Like, they are not exactly the easy, like, just from a technical standpoint, they have different requirements, I would imagine, in terms of localization.
Definitely.
So essentially, you have 2 localization projects, even if technically it's the same script, which it might not be the same script. I'm not sure. I get the impression that like they've been working on this for almost as long as the game has been like available or known in Japan. It just kind of they said like, oh yeah, we've been working on this already, so hopefully we won't have to wait too long to find out. Have you watched any of the streams for DQ 11? No, I'm the kind of person who, if I can't see it in English, an RPG in English, I'm a lot less interested. I'm very greedy that way. I mean, there are people who are like streaming it and then translating it on the fly.
Oh, that's pretty cool. But I would rather just kind of keep it for myself, kind of
keep it fresh.
Keep it fresh. And I mean, I really do hope both are coming out because the nice thing about Dragon Quest is that the retro games and the modern games are both very good in different ways. So I want both experiences.
So you're not part of the streaming generation, the kind of people who will just like literally sit there and watch a stream of an entire game and go, yep, I had the experience that I wanted. I basically keep names in my head so that I can appear hip to kids. Oh, yeah, I know Markiplier. Yeah, he's cool. Otherwise, no. All right. Well, I am curious to see if the 3DS version does in fact come out here. I think we had all kind of assumed that the PS4 version would be the only one coming out, especially given that while the 3DS is still going, I wouldn't exactly say that it's, going strong. It's definitely on the kind of last couple years of its life cycle. Yeah. I mean, it's been around for 6 years at this point, so it's had a good run. But it's had a very good run, but I think that, don't forget, Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon are coming out, and I think that'll inject some life into it, plus of course, the new 2DS, which is a great little system. I mean, I could see it coming out next year. Yeah. But, yeah, I don't think it's this year, that's for sure. Well, if it's next year, like, who knows what else is coming out on the 3DS, if anything. So, like, we'll see. Like, the 3DS has gotten a surprising amount of support this year. Definitely. And in fact, I should probably write an article about this. Like, wow, 3DS sure is doing well this year. I was kind of surprised by that, but I think everybody assumed that the Switch would just kind of take over seamlessly. But that's because we were like spoiled by Microsoft and Sony just going, oh, new console's out. Okay, the other previous console's dead. Yep, pretty much. And Switch is still very hard to find, so 3DS isn't going anywhere until at least the supplies get to where they should be. Yes, indeed. But curious, would you play it on the 3DS or the PS4? If I had to choose? Mm-hmm. If I had to choose? Oh, shit. And so that's really hard because I'm going to say PS4, but I'd be very upset. I'd be very cross that I couldn't play it on 3DS as well. Because PS4, I want that like current gen experience. I want to see those graphics in HD, but I want to take it on with me when I want to play it in bed, So, but I think I would prioritize PS4. The graphics, Nadia, the graphics. You gotta have the graphics. I'm a bit of a graphics whore right now. I sound like one anyway. What? You're a graphics whore? I do not believe that. I mean, let's face it. Dragon Quest games also look great on 3DS. Dragon Quest 8 looks good on the 3DS. 7 looks good on 3DS. But something about those high-res Dragon Quest games just really make me happy. What was the last time you were a graphics whore? Was it 1992? 1990, I would say like the late SNES period. I kind of noticed how much more vibrant and interesting graphics on the SNES looked compared to the Genesis. Just saying. I'm just saying. I'm just Goku right here. SNES kid.
I was totally...
When I was in elementary school, I used to read the specs and like quote them at people and be like, yeah, but the Sega Genesis only has like a few hundred colors versus the thousands for the Super Nintendo. And the Super Nintendo has like a superior sound chip. Hello,
Yeah.
It is like the technically superior console. Therefore, it is better.
Well, it was. Period. End of story. It's full stop.
And then the argument that would always come, well, Sega Genesis has better games.
Oh, it doesn't.
I do not agree with that.
No, I really
anymore.
don't. And, SNES was the RPG system, 100%. But I do regret not being able to play more Phantasy Star. I always did want to play more of that.
When I was in school, everybody cared about Mortal Kombat.
I didn't.
I didn't either. But, like, everybody was like, Mortal Kombat. Yeah, no, like, Sega Genesis is the best. Meh.
Yeah, Nintendo shot itself in the foot with that one.
They sure did. But I think the last time I was really a graphics whore was maybe 2008. Like, that's the last time I remember being, like, legitimately knocked out by, like, graphics going, wow. Like, that is a graphical, like, experience.
What game
the first
was that?
time, probably Call of Duty 4.
That would make sense.
Just like, and BioShock, the first time that you land in the water,
That was
and you're looking
incredible.
up at the tower,
Yeah, that was
and you're
incredible.
just going, oh my god, like, this is so amazing and realistic and gorgeous, and like,
My
this
name
is way
is
beyond.
Andrew Ryan, and I have a question.
This is way beyond anything that I could get on the PS2, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's like,
Yeah, I understand that.
the jump to HD was quite the large one, I think.
Yeah.
And then come PS4, Xbox One generation, like, games definitely look a lot better than they did a decade ago, for sure. But it's like, I think it's a lot more by degrees, and so it's harder to notice.
And I find that games that make more stylistic choices are more impressive than the ones that try to go for the technical aspect of it all. Like, look at Persona 5, looks pretty much as good as it does on the PS3 as it does on the PS4.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess, like, at this point, like, I care maybe more about, like, a game's depth and, like, how much it brings to the table than, like, whether or not it's a graphical extravaganza.
Definitely, yeah, that's me.
That's why I've been a little bit critical about Horizon Zero Dawn, because I think it's a pretty face that does not necessarily bring a lot to the table. But
I still have to play that one. I do want to give it a try.
well, you should give it a try. And you could play the DLC.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's coming out.
Yes, there's DLC coming out at some point in the near future, but okay. Anyway, Dragon Quest XI coming out probably sometime next year. Kingdom Hearts 3 as well, man.
Yeah.
Like, I did see a pig fly. That's really impressive. There it goes. Woo! Other news, Persona 3 and 5 dancing
Yes, you
has
gotta
been
have the dancing.
announced. So now we get the Persona 3 and 5 characters wearing aviator glasses, much like that image from Persona 4 dancing all night, and also Persona Q2. So let's start with Persona 3 and 5 dancing. Nadia, I'm kind of surprised. Like, a little more controversial than I was expecting.
The game, so I guess people are kind of saying, oh, why are they rehashing this? And it's like, well, the answer is, how long do we have to wait in between Persona games? Let's just, have a little bit of...
So you can't see this, but I was doing the money symbol for Nadia. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. She's doing the finger thing means the taxes, except in this case it means the profits.
Yes. Money. Yeah, no, they can make money off this, and people will buy it because, fun fact, the music in Persona 3 and 5, it's really good.
Yeah.
And people want to listen to it, and also they include, like, actual, like, additions to the story and such, if you're willing to sit through what amounts to a pretty boring visual novel.
I think it was either you or Mike yesterday saying how they never shut up, like there was like 10,000 lines of text in between every song.
When are we gonna get to the dancing stuff? I just want to play the music.
It seems fun. Like I never played. I only just finished 4, so I didn't get to Dancing All Night. But I'm definitely interested in Persona 5 Dancing Moon or whatever, whichever one it is. Dancing Star Night. That's it.
Over on the site, Matt got together some reactions to the Persona 3 and 5 dancing stories. On Reddit, one of the threads was, "The milking begins."
Oh, it hasn't even started, my child.
I guess they weren't done milking Persona 3 either.
No, apparently not.
The idea that Atlus is milking its most popular franchise is typically the core of a lot of grievances, though considering Atlus also puts in the effort to make sure each spin-off weaves into a larger, ever more convoluted canon, I don't necessarily see the harm. This is Matt talking. And somebody asked, why can't they just release a Persona 3, 4, 5.2 with the gameplay, story, and characterization quality of the originals? It's how every other developer milks their IPs. Only Persona is one franchise with characters you wouldn't mind seeing continue in another game, even if the graphics in most settings are reused. I loathe how much these spin-offs water down the character and story. They aren't even the same characters, just hollow trophy shells of what they were. They're not wrong. They're not wrong, I don't think. Like, it is a lot cutesier, I suppose. And it tends to kind of strip away a lot of the stuff that made the original Persona 4 like special. I suppose you didn't play Persona 4 Dancing All Night.
No, I didn't, but I'm just thinking about it. Okay, we've talked in the past about how Persona 4, is not as dark as Persona 5, but it still has its moments. So it's like, this is a game about, like, people being hung up on telephone poles, and I guess they're dancing now? Okay. Okie dokie.
Oh my god, you did it, Atlus. You did it. 2 games instead of a single one. A plot that will either feel like out of fanfic.net and or will screw up P3's canon. It's beautiful. I'm throwing money at my screen right now. I want those remixes.
I just want to dance to rivers in the desert.
But then there are also people who are saying that they've put like 40 hours into Dancing All Night. It's their first rhythm game, and now they're going to get P5 and P3, and they're super excited. So,
oh, that's cute. I like that.
Yeah, there are people who are going to be happy. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to get the Dancing All Night games unless they come out on the Switch.
I'm not going to get 3 because I don't know when I'll be able to get around to playing Persona 3, so I don't know if I could appreciate it. But I am very interested in 5. Although, yeah, what the hell? Why is there not a Switch release? Come on, people.
That's what we're going to ask for every game now.
Come on, people. Switch.
I think in 2018, we're going to see a lot more Switch games.
I think
It takes a bit for developers to kind of pivot and start like going after a system once it's proven popular.
Yeah, I think even if Capcom's getting its head up its ass now, I think everyone's going to start to kind of realize, hey, the Switch isn't going anywhere. It's pretty popular. Let's make some money off this thing.
Yes, indeed. Also, Persona Q2 got announced. Did you ever play Persona Q?
I did not, so I am interested in 2, because that has the characters from Persona 5 in it, and don't they usually cross over, the Q games? Like, Q had 3 and 4?
Persona Q did, in fact, have 3 and 4. So, adding the 5 characters in is, like, yeah, pretty cool, right? Mm-hmm. I'm excited. It's being teased with the Persona 5 catchphrase, "Take your heart." So I think it's pretty evident that we're going to have everybody in there.
Yeah, I love how like cute the logo was. It's like when I said in my story, "Oh, it wants to steal my thoughts."
Or it could be just 4 and 5 characters, or 3 and 5 characters, or it could be 3, 4, and 5 characters. In which case, you'll have a lot more party members.
Poor Persona 1 and 2. They just kind of sit in the corner.
I mean, what can I say? They're not as good.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, people are now going to kick down my door and just be like, no, Persona 1 and 2 have the best story, and you're like denying 2 really awesome RPGs. I understand. Persona 1 and 2, they are good games and everything, but they also feel a little bit dated in compared to kind of the later games, and you have to really work hard to get into them. Mm-hmm. But if you really want to play them, like they're around, like you can still play them on like Vita and that kind of thing. So
yeah, I remember seeing the original game in for PlayStation in like the stores, and the box art, of course, as was style at the time, was lame as hell.
Yes, which was the style at the time.
God, they did so wrong by so many PlayStation games. Persona Suikoden. Oh my God, that was a disaster area. Castlevania Symphony of the Night, I will never, if I live to be 1,000, I will never forgive them for that jewel case art. It's literally a clip art castle.
Anyway, I digress. Persona Q, if you're not familiar with it, is basically Persona meets Etrian Odyssey. Mm-hmm. you go through a labyrinth and you like try to get deeper and deeper into the labyrinth. The last game, like there was a carnival or something like that, and you're with the Persona 4 characters and you're diving. Something weird happens, and the next thing you know, you're diving into these labyrinths. And at the end of the first labyrinth, you meet the Persona 3 crew. And they all have certain abilities, certain powers. They can equip certain weapons. And your goal is to build out a party that combines the Persona 3 and the Persona 4 characters in a way that works. And the only thing that you need to know is... shoot, I'm spacing on the name. Naoto?
Naoto, yeah.
Yeah, Naoto's OP.
Overpowered,
It's like Naoto can just bring the insta-death spells. Very useful and can like just take things out. Like once I found the optimal party, I was set.
Yeah, that's one thing I noticed about the Persona games versus, say, Final Fantasy is the insta-death spells, they usually work, often against you. But if you are weak to... Because I know the insta-death spells are usually dark or light, and if you are weak to either one of those elements and they use it on you, you're dead. You're gone. There's no protection.
The only thing is that I find these games to be a bit of a grind. Like, they require a lot of patience to get through. Like, it takes multiple excursions to get all the way through a labyrinth. And it can be quite... because, at a certain point, you'll just run out of energy. You'll run out of... It is a dungeon writ large. Like, you are going to eventually run out of stamina. And so you have to go back, you have to heal up, you have to like get new items, like cash in your old items, etc. Continue to gear up, and then go back in and make a little more progress until eventually you get to the end.
Yeah.
And I think that can be pretty like addictive when you're like in the middle of one dungeon, but then you get to the next area and you start essentially all over, and you're like, oh my god, like I just feel exhausted in that moment, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't want to start going. I want to turn off my system.
Were you a fan of the Pokemon Mysterious Dungeon games?
No, I was not. I found them pretty boring, actually.
Same deal, where it's just too grindy?
I don't know, like they didn't have a lot of flair to them, and it really is just this kind of battle of attrition. Where you're just trying to survive over a long period of time.
But the Pokemon have bandanas.
Yes. If anything, I like dungeons to be kind of short and sweet to the point, but maybe hard. Or like feature some interesting things as opposed to being like these like multi-level, multi-hour excruciating kind of affairs, right?
As opposed
Which
to
I guess that doesn't make me an old school like fan or anything. Like like a lot of people would be like, no, I want these dungeons to take forever to beat. But I don't know. What are your thoughts, Nadia?
Well, I'm definitely I'm not a huge dungeon crawler fan, but I am definitely interested in giving this a try because of course I like the cast of Persona 4, I like the cast of Persona 5, so that's probably enough to kind of get me interested and see, okay, let's see if I'd be a big fan of Etrian Odyssey or not.
Have you not played Etrian Odyssey?
I think I gave it a try and I just didn't really get into it. So I've always been meaning to kind of get back to that style of gameplay.
I don't think you would like it because it's too dungeon and systems based.
Exactly. That's why I'm saying Persona at least kind of cuts it through with the characters, even if apparently they're not very deep.
Persona. Yeah, no, Etrian Odyssey. Unless you play Etrian Odyssey Untold, you might like those, which I believe I've told you in the past.
Yeah, I think you have. I know Paris
Etrian Odyssey Untold 2. That's the one you want.
Put it on the pile, I guess.
Put it on the pile, Nadia. I'm going to give you more homework. Just like Katie.
Summer homework. Oh, summer homework is the worst.
Oh my god, this is the never-ending summer. It just keeps going. But then the next thing I know, it's going to be in October, and I'm going to be cursing life itself because we'll be in the middle of the release season. Oh, yes. All right. So, Nadia, we were just over the past hour streaming the Final Fantasy 15 multiplayer. And the Final Fantasy 15 multiplayer closed beta has 3 different challenges. The first one is you're fighting a whole bunch of monsters. And then one of the monsters kind of gets bigger. And then there's another mission, I believe, and you're fighting different monsters, they're bombs. Yes.
the second mission, if I recall, we were chasing after, I forget what they call those gator monster things, but we were chasing after a bunch of those. I kept on getting left behind on the truck. I kept having to run behind you.
Yes. No. Like we beat the boss in the first one, the first level, but then there was a second mission.
Right. Okay.
That let us like continue.
Yes.
And then we ran into a boss there, and we ended up dying.
Right.
And then the second one was initially you're in a truck.
Yes.
And you're fighting like lots of gators and spiders and things and protecting the truck.
Escort mission.
And you like kept being left behind all the time.
It was pretty funny. Well, the truck bed was only big enough for two people, so for one person. So every time I tried to get on the truck, like I just kind of not make it on there. Mm-hmm. Also, I'm really bad at point warping.
Yes. Nadia, you need to hit the R1 to be able to point warp.
I was hitting the shit out of R1, and it just like kept like I would catch up to the truck, then it wouldn't like let me climb up there.
I mean, use R1 to lock on.
I did.
Okay, well, there you go.
Warp, and I couldn't climb on.
Yeah, I did see you warping along behind me as I was sitting there on the truck bed. It is entirely possible that we couldn't be on it together.
Yeah.
In the end, like I got to ride like a queen, and you had to follow along.
They kept John Cena and the Chocobo Man apart.
Oh. Yes, we kind of determined that John Cena, who was Nadia's character, and whoever the mysterious Chocobo person was, had like some kind of illicit relationship.
Mm-hmm. It was very romantic.
I'm just imagining Chocobo like looking into the eyes of John Cena, and John Cena looking at those dead eyes and going, "It was meant to be." On fanfiction.net or Archive of Our Own.
I think it would be Archive of Our Own, because I think that sort of thing is a little too freaky for fanfiction.net.
I'm glad that you have opinions on this, Nadia.
Ask me about erotic fanfictions. I'll wear that as a button. Ask me about erotic fanfictions.
And the third one is you're fighting kind of a boss. You're
destroyed.
We were protecting a pylon. Oh, no, that was the second mission. We were protecting a pylon in the second mission, maybe? Yes, we were protecting a pylon in the second mission, and I think we lost the pylon was the problem.
Right. Something happened. I know I got kicked out of the game for sucking, so...
Yeah.
I think you
and then the third mission was you're fighting Naga. Like, there were snakes with, like, women's heads, and there were multiple of them, and they hit pretty hard.
Mm-hmm. We died pretty fast.
Yeah, it was kind of rough. Yeah, it was pretty rough. So, I mean, it's pretty much very similar to the regular Final Fantasy 15 battle system. Mm-hmm. You're like point warping around. You can switch to different weapons a la Noctis. So you have different weapons in this one. Instead of having like the heavy sword and the light sword and the gun, you have like kind of a shuriken kind of thing, and then like a dual wielding kind of like Ignis's weapon. You have a regular sword, and then you have like a heavy mace or something like that.
Yeah, like a hammer sort of weapon.
Yeah, a hammer. I did not use the hammer. I ended up using the sword most of the time. Is that what you ended up using, Nadia?
I switched a little bit. Like when we were up against the Iron Giant, which I think is the boss of the first mission, I switched to the hammer because I think that helped a little bit because he was an asshole. But I did use the daggers a lot. And I like those because, that's like a fast attack versus like of course the regular sword is a medium attack, and the sword I don't know what the hell that was. It was a thing.
Yes, I mean I was kind of using it in my Chocobo suit. Yes, you can also dress up in a Chocobo suit. This game really does not take itself too seriously at the end of the day.
Yeah, which is good.
Yeah, that's probably for the best. But so I ended up using the sword most of the time too, and. It's kind of like Final Fantasy 15 proper in that, you want to get behind an enemy and you want to kind of try and get blind side attacks going. You want to do warp strikes. A few things that are different about it. So blocking will create like a shield, like an energy shield kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And if you can block at the right time, you will create a chain warp or something like that. What is chain warping, Nadia?
As I recall, from what I can glean, because they don't really, I'm sure they explain it, but we didn't really go through the instructions. But it seemed to be when I blocked, or when Cat would block, you'd kind of get an opportunity to warp multiple times and kind of strike the enemy that way, which of course also refills your MP a little bit. And I think after that is done, or even beforehand, it will like cause a break in the enemy's defenses, so they will fall over, and you can really just kind of kick them while they're down.
Yeah, keep kicking him down.
It's pretty funny. There was one point when we're playing, and there's like four of us like just beating up this one alligator, and we're just talking about soccer as it goes on.
Yes, like we do. I mean, there were two other people, but they were AI companions because Nadia and I were just playing by ourselves.
Yes. So it's definitely it is a 4-person battle. I don't know if they're going to keep that or for after the beta or not, but you do have to have 4 people in your party, and whoever's not controlled by a live person will be filled in by the AI.
Yeah, and you go to like a camp, and you're like sitting at the camp, and that is where you do the matchmaking. I told Nadia that it kind of reminded me of the Q continuum from Star Trek Voyager, where they're like sitting around. Like, there's this whole bit where they go to the Q continuum. The Q, of course, are the super-powered, like, godlike races from Star Trek. And, like, they're just, like, looking around and going, wow, none of these people are doing anything. They're like, well, they're all powered. They're all powerful and omniscient. Like, they do not need to do anything. They've done everything. Like, literally all they have to do is sit in their chairs and stare up into space forever. And you're like, ooh. Doesn't sound like the most exciting adventure, but so yeah, that's what that sounds like. It's a very empty, like little hub area. But then you go into a camp, and we were seeing if we could rest. We couldn't tell what the difference between resting and departing was.
Yeah, we tried to select rest, and it just didn't really do anything.
Nothing happened.
It was like flicking a light switch that doesn't do anything.
We were kind of hoping that we could go into the camp sequence and like cook some food. But the food's all pre-cooked.
Yeah, because we did win some food for our efforts. Mostly bottles of something. We got
bottles of something.
We got like chops of some kind from a monster too, and that looked delicious, frankly.
Yes, delicious food. But okay, so general thoughts. I think that it is okay, but it is hard for me to kind of see why anybody would play this. Somebody in the Twitch chat, by the way, you can go watch the archive stream on twitch.tv/USGamerNet. And while you're there, make sure to subscribe and follow us because every Tuesday and Thursday we do the US Gamer Lunch Hour streams at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, but I digress. Somebody was asking, why does this exist in light of Final Fantasy XIV being around? And I'm kind of curious what your thoughts are, Nadia.
Well, like I said in the Twitch chat, it is a little bit different. Like, it is, strange enough, and this is going to sound stupid, the mindlessness of it all is a little nice. Like, it was fun to just kind of talk to you while I wasn't having to concentrate on strategy, which is not really a compliment on the game, because this is not the kind of game where teamwork matters a lot. It does matter in some instances, and I'll get into that more with my article that I'm writing for US Gamer. But it's Final Fantasy XIV is a game where if you have a boss character, you had better have your crap together and you'd better coordinate with your teammates. That is not, so far from what I can tell from the beta, that is not this game. There's also the fact that Final Fantasy XV, I don't think that universe is in 14 yet. So if you do enjoy the kingdom, I can't remember the name of the land that it's in, but which I do. I think it's
Insomnia.
Oh, for fuck's sake! Of course, it's Insomnia. If you like Insomnia, and I do, it's an interesting land. It's kind of neat. You have those enemies, you have those locales. You kind of have that interesting mix of fantasy and reality. And then there is, as you said, Kat, it's free. Bang.
There you go, right?
Yeah.
Except for they're going to totally charge you for microtransactions and that kind of thing.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, if you want your Chocobo suit 10 to 1, you have to pay for it.
And that ultimately is why this beta exists, is that why this multiplayer exists, is that they want people to kind of turn Final Fantasy 15 into a platform. And you know what? It's working, Nadia. I'm not saying that it's going to be the most popular thing in the world, but some people are going to play it. Yep, and I would wager that it will end up making enough money. And in the meantime, like a game that I might have put away and not thought about again many months ago, barring an expansion, like I am still thinking about and talking about it almost a year to the day of its release. So it's like, success, right? It's keeping Final Fantasy 15 in the public eye, however marginally.
Yeah, and I agree with that because, I mean, we all know how strained the development was for Final Fantasy 15, Square Enix has to make a lot of money back on this game, and so far so good as far as I can tell. I am looking forward to episode Ignis, and I think I will go back and actually play those downloadable episodes eventually.
Yeah, they're okay. I mean, they made me go, oh yeah, I like Final Fantasy 15. Yeah, this is all right. As for the multiplayer, like, I think that there could be something kind of fun in starting a new character, like building them up, getting progressively better weapons, getting really good at blocking at the right time and initiating the warp strikes, maybe having a party of like 3 other friends, because co-op is golden.
Yes. Although we did have a big problem coordinating because they kept kicking us out to other servers, and that sucked.
Yeah, I really hope that the regular version has much better like matchmaking.
Yes, definitely. They have to have better matchmaking, because when you play together, you're looking at about 10 minutes of action, and we spent 10 minutes playing, and then we'd spend like another 10 minutes trying to find each other again. It was stupid.
Yeah, the way it ended up working was essentially like it randomly assigned a server.
Yeah.
So the 2 servers were like Lucis and Niflheim, and like if we weren't on that same server, we couldn't see each other. So once we were on the same server, I could create a game. Essentially, I could create a lobby.
Yeah.
With a passcode, and Nadia could search for it and join.
Yes. And that worked fine.
That worked fine, I guess. It was kind of cumbersome. It was not an ideal way to join up, group up for a game, but whatevs, right? And then thank God, like once she was in my game, we didn't have to wait for 2 people to join. Like it assigned us nice. 2 AI characters immediately, and we were able to go on our merry little way.
Yep.
And die.
Yeah, we died.
Yeah, so it would be nice if it had a group up function. So that we don't have to like worry about like servers and that kind of thing.
But then again, you have like Final Fantasy 14 has all these separate servers, and if you're not on the same server, you can't play together, and that's kind of stupid too. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's how it is. Like, that's multiplayer games. I mean, that's MMOs for you, right? Where like you pick a server and you get somebody to come onto your server, and servers have different identities and that kind of thing. I
thought that Warcraft at least modernized it and made it like cross-server. I could be wrong, I guess.
I mean, some games have basically one server.
Yeah.
Like Star Trek Online basically has one unified server. So it really depends on which MMORPG you're playing. Final Fantasy 15, the multiplayer game, is not really an MMORPG. It's a mission-based co-op multiplayer thing.
It's a boss
that you
rush.
Play for some reason.
You play it
Yeah,
'cause you
I'm
can.
not really getting it, actually. But hey, if you really like Final Fantasy 15, go for it.
Yeah, it won't hurt you. It won't kill you. It won't bite you.
Yeah, once it comes out, maybe I'll give it some time and everything and see if there's like a little more to it. But I think that it's just a little too shallow, maybe. So we'll see. Okay, as always, we're going to be doing our comments from the previous episode, and Writer Kicker wishes Katie good luck with the homework, and he says that they remember The World Ends With You after spying it at the video game store for $20. I spent more of my DS time playing Pokemon instead, but I was really intrigued by the premise, so I watched that Shibuya 15 TV show around the same time. Do you guys remember it? It starred some supporting cast of the era's Kamen Rider shows, and it took place in a dark version of the neighborhood where they had to deal with a conspiracy and Mark Musashi rambling in broken English. Who'd have thunk that area of Shibuya would become such a pop culture trope with SMT Devil Survivor? Anyway, I thought it was a fun game, but quite daunting as I'm a one scream at a time kind of player. And the best feature was leaving the game alone for long periods of time would give you XP.
Oh,
it sounds kind of like Bravely Default, but unlike that game, you could turn off the DS and it would be fine, or better, as you can save on electricity. I should pick it up again, but I'm just too busy. And they were actually mentioning that the Link6616 was mentioning that the iOS port of The World Ends With You is actually very good, and if you didn't gel with the 2-screen setup, it might work better with you. Continuing on, Jero MC says that The World Ends With You is my favorite game on DS and one of my favorite RPGs and games of all time. The story spoke so much to me at the time, and I try to replay it as much as I can. Like was set on the pod. It was a perfect length. Didn't feel too short or too long. The battle system is a bit confusing, and I did as I did, Cat, pressing forward and paying attention mostly on the bottom screen. The graphics are nice, and it oozes style like no game before Persona 5, which is a feat considering it's a handheld game. The soundtrack was astounding, and I fell in love with it the minute I started listening to the game. It's one of the games that I delete all my data so I can play it again. Oh,
Nice.
man, they're really into
That's
that game.
dedication. That's great.
And Little Sprite X wants to defend Miitopia. They want to defend the honor of Miitopia.
Defending the honor of Miitopia, Miitopia warrior.
I want to say a couple words to defend Miitopia. It's a slight game to be sure, and Katie's criticisms mostly ring true. It has severe pacing issues and could easily have been cut in half. But it also enthralls me in a way that Tomodachi Life never did, for one simple reason. I can put me, myself, and my husband in the game and make them fall in love with each other.
Aw, that's sweet.
Tomodachi Life is a good game, but notoriously doesn't allow for gay characters. Miitopia, on the other hand, is queer as all get out. There's no
Miitopia,
romance
queer as
system
hell.
per se, but the friendship system makes your whole party seem ready to kiss one another at any moment. It's hilarious and wonderful. I also love the battles. Miitopia doesn't really have skits in the way Tomodachi does, because the battles are the skits. It's fun to watch my Mii get pissed because his best friend shot him out of a tank, and then have that quarrel spill out onto the battlefield and affect everyone else involved, while the player scrambles to give them timeouts before anyone dies. I'm sure I'll get bored eventually, but I've already put a lot more hours into Miitopia than I ever expected to. For everyone on the fence, read Katie's excellent review and then try the demo. It gives you a few hours of playtime, which should show you whether the game is for you or not. Okay, maybe Miitopia is not that bad after all.
Yeah, it's one of those games where if I had the time, I would definitely give it a try, but who the hell has the time?
Well, I mean, we're kind of in a dead period right now. Like, I was just thinking recently, I was like, oh man, maybe we have a little bit of time before some more games start to arrive. Maybe this is the time that I can sit down and really finally wrap up Zelda.
Well, I'm doing Final Fantasy 12 right now, and after that, I downloaded Bloodborne a million years ago. I really should play that.
How far are you in Final Fantasy 12 at this point?
I am basically, I went to the coast of some hunter village. I can't remember the name of it. I'm about 30 hours in or so.
30 hours in or so. Okay.
Yeah.
What was the most recent thing to happen?
Balthier just had a talk with Ash about his past a little bit.
So it sounds like you're enjoying it.
Yeah. Having a good time. It's a good game. I find the overarching story is a little bit dull, but I like the characters a lot, so that's okay.
All right. Well, I mean, Final Fantasy 12, you can totally go read our review over on the site and things like that. So that is the end of our episode for today. Axe of the Blood God is a US Gamer podcast. You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or wherever podcasts are sold. Please do us a favor. If you're enjoying the show, leave a comment. Yes. And talk about why you love us. Give us a good score. That will increase our visibility on the site and will make us love you very much. And of course, you can reach us at usgamer@usgamer.net. You can find me on Twitter at @the_capbot. You can find Nadia on Twitter at Nadia Oxford. Make sure to check out the site. Bunch of good stuff on the site as usual. You can find our reactions to the Persona news. You can find Katie's discussion with Destiny players who are not ready to move on to Destiny 2. We got some stuff about the new Life is Strange. Yeah, lots of stuff, actually. Oh, and we're continuing our SNES Game by Games, and also throwing in Metroid Game by Game reviews. We will be doing the entirety of Metroid leading up to Metroid Return of Samus, and that comes courtesy of Jeremy Parrish. So check out that. We're going to be updating that every Wednesday, along with the new US Gamer podcast, which you should totally go subscribe to.
Yes, you should.
You can find it on the site, you can find it on your iTunes feed, US Gamer Podcast, and we will see about getting it on Stitcher and some other places in the very near future. In the meantime, we'll be back next week, as always, to talk more about RPGs and more wonderful things. Thanks for dropping by. I've been Kat Bailey, and for Nadia and myself, thanks for listening. Until next time, happy adventuring.